Hello, sir.
Hey,
I like that shirt, man. Unfortunately, mine is in the wash.
are you dirtying it up already? You
Yeah, good. Yeah.
dirty little boy.
So how do you like it?
Dude, I fucking love it. It's
Yeah.
nice.
All right,
Yeah.
good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I thought, because what number did I give you? 00?
Yeah. But dude, I love jerseys like this. I like
All right.
3/4 sleeves. I like that stuff.
Okay, good. I'm glad you like it. Yeah. So for people who don't know, all the guys that appear on my show on the regular, so that means Arntz, Priest, Luke, Dorian, and Bo all got a Christmas gift from me, which is a football jersey with their last name on the back and series and sellers in the front, and looks pretty cool. Of course, I got one for myself, but I got the inverted one. I actually got red with black lettering.
Ah, all right.
Oh man. So sorry.
Not at all. Yeah, the coach has to wear the inverted colors.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I figured I'll be special. Jordan, what's up, Jordan? How you doing, man? Thanks for tuning in. All right. Anabolic Academy brought to you by I Prevail Sups, which is the man you're looking at right now, Jason Arntz. He is the owner and manager and proprietor of I Prevail Sups.
Yes, sir.
The link is in the description, so click and go. And we actually got a new product, right? A new
the fiber, yeah. I gotta send you. Did I send you one yet or no? I gotta send you.
No, it's all right. I'll order it. I still got Species. I'm still working on Fiberlize, so I got to order what's yours called? It's just called Fiber, right?
It's Fiber. Do you do a flavored one or do you do unflavored? What do you do?
I do the flavored one and I just down it. Like after this, I'll just.
How's it taste? How's theirs taste?
It's all right. And at this point, in this stage of the game, I don't care about the taste. I just fucking down it.
Yeah, I don't either. But I have an unflavored.
A lot of people do, I know, but.
Well, I use the unflavored one because I mix it with my shakes.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's actually a really good idea.
But I have the flavored ones, which whatever. But they're fucking good. They actually taste really good.
Yeah, no. Once I run out of this, I'll order it. I'll check it out because that's one thing that I like to do is take a good shit.
Well, who doesn't?
Yeah, tell me about it. All right, so we're good for about 45 minutes. So peptides,
right?
You wanted to do, hey, look at this. Look who just, hey, Luke, what's up, man? I'll see you in about 45 minutes.
What's up, Luke?
You wanted to talk about peptides again because apparently there's new data out.
Well, the reality is it's not necessarily new data. What it is I'm going to get a lot of hate on this, because peptides are the newest thing out there, and I try to throw caution in the wind. And when I got into bodybuilding and I knew what I had to do to become a pro and to take what I had to take, like you always want to at least take the calculated risks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And back there, like we had data because these are most of them anyway. Were drugs and performance enhancers, anabolics. They had purposes. There was studies done. They were already FDA approved. They were approved in different countries. Of course, they're abused in athletics and sports and bodybuilding. And they're taking to extremes, where they're, we're going over and beyond recommended dosage of what they're supposed to be. And that's when, most of the side effects come in. But at least there was data, and clinical trials of all of the substances, more or less, right?
Right, of course, yeah, sure.
The problem with the peptides is there's not a lot of data on it.
Yeah, it's relatively new, yes.
There's no human data, which is even more concerning.
Okay.
And when you listen, dude, and I fall into it too, dude. Like, you listen to some of these guys talk, and some of them are actual doctors. I'm not sure all of them what kind of doctors they are, but some of them are doctors, and they're giving their advice on these peptides, and they're basing this advice on animal studies, or on personal use, and just because you take something and you think it makes you feel good or you're recovering better, that's not real data. It could be a placebo effect. It could be 10 other things going on in your life. Oh, I healed my shoulder in 10 days. Okay, like maybe. And I'm not saying all of it's wrong. The problem is, most of these compounds, and we'll get into like the two biggest ones. You have your BPC 157 and you have your TB 500. Those are like the two most commonly used, synthetic peptides that are out right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried BP7, BPC 157, a couple of years ago, and I've tried it recently. And I definitely do not feel the same I did with it when it was first around. And I do know that a couple of years ago, the FDA came in and they flagged all these compounding companies, all these raw ingredient manufacturers, because they really saw promise in BPC 157, and they were looking to take it and make it a prescription drug, right?
Okay, right.
They put their hooks, excuse me, they put their hooks in it. They wanted this because the first stage, your first stage of clinical trials, is basically just for safety. That's stage one of clinical trials, covers safety of the product.
Okay.
So for BPC 157, they had enough safety to say, let's go into phase 2 clinical trials, right?
Okay.
The problem is they've been stuck in phase 2 for a long time.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, they haven't gotten out of phase 2, which suggests two things. One, they didn't have good data to go into phase 3. They weren't getting the results that they thought they would get. There could be some side effects that they were noticing that aren't worth taking it into clinical 3 trials or stage 3 trials.
Okay.
Or they're still compounding the data. So it's one of those 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know. We don't know. And the problem is, nobody knows dosaging and administration because the studies haven't been done that. They've been done in vitro. They've been done in vitro and they've been done on animals.
So we've been doing our own experiments on ourselves, basically.
Yeah, and that's anecdotal feedback. That's anecdotal studies, which it's like going into a court of law and having third party information. They're not gonna accept it. Hey, just because these three people say it does this, this, and this doesn't necessarily make it so. Like the FDA clearance, and I know it's a tough topic because people are going to come back and say, well, nobody likes the FDA, nobody trusts the FDA, and they're pushing big pharma. But dude, believe me, if the FDA wants to take something and make it a drug, it would be these peptides, dude.
Right. They're going to make their money. Right.
They all show tremendous promise. The problem is they haven't made it out of stage 2 clinical trials.
Do you know the how many stages there are and what happens in each stage?
There's 3 before it goes into approval process.
Okay. You said you used it twice because I get a lot of mixed reviews on peptides, especially BP 157 and TB 500. Right? Is that it? Yeah.
BPC 157 and
TB 500.
Thymosin beta 4, which is TB 500.
Okay, so I get a lot of mixed reviews. I talked to some people. A friend of mine at work said it was great. He had shoulder problems, and it really helped because he's a very physical, athletic guy. He goes to the gym. He does jujitsu. Then I talk to people that use it, and they're like, I don't know. What was your experience? Because you said you used it twice, and both times you had a different experience. Hold on. Sorry, man. Good.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Not at all. So yeah, the first couple times I did BPC 157, I did like it. I did notice, a boost in recovery.
Okay.
I did notice I have shoulder injuries also. I have tears in my supraspinatus and my labrum. And I know they're not gonna reattach a tendon. They're not gonna but if it could increase or promote angiogenesis, which is the formation of new blood vessels through your capillaries, then it's going to speed the healing process, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did notice that the first couple of times. Now I was doing other things at the time also, but it was a nagging injury that I didn't really seem to be recovering from. And I did notice a benefit. Since then, I've used it a dozen other times, and I can say I have not gotten the same benefits
Really?
from recently. And I think it's because, excuse me, once the FDA came in, they contacted all these raw ingredient companies, and they pretty much say, hey, you can't sell this for research and purpose. We're looking at this now. So now, because it's in such high demand, they have to source this, and they're sourcing it with all these, who knows what you're getting. And that's the problem, is anybody could make up a third, a C of A, a certificate of authenticity,
Mm-hmm.
And then send a piece of paper and say, yeah, this stuff tested good and it's clean. But unless you really test it yourself, and because these C of A's are not under FDA scrutiny, dude, you could fucking make one up in Google, and
there are people that do these things. It's
well, of course, dude. There's fake gear. There's fake this. There's fake.
Yes.
There's fake Louis Vuitton purses. There's fake everything.
Yeah. Right.
So why wouldn't there be fake peptides? So I think that the raw ingredients are not what they used to be, and I'm not saying they're shit. I don't know, but from the experience I've had, they're definitely not the same. But what brings me to the angiogenesis, which is the promotion of new blood vessels. The scary part about that is it does help grow cells, rehabilitate cells, but it doesn't discriminate. It could grow cancer. It could help if you have an existing cancer cell. So there's all these studies now that are being looked at that, there's doctors, top, board certified, thoracic cardiosurgeons that are saying, in 4 or 5 years, the cancer rate is going to be even higher from people using these peptides. And I've said this a while back also, like, we know what it does,
right?
But what else does it do that we don't know about because they haven't undergo these three stages of clinical trials?
Right.
So now, for people just to be taking them at will and the dosages they're doing and stacking them with others, it's a risk. And dude, I'm not saying I wouldn't do it either. Hey, dude, you go to the doctor, nobody's fixing anything. Nobody wants to heal you.
Yeah.
You have a do this. Hey, I don't think I have cancer. Fuck it, I'll do it. Why not?
Right.
We've all done it. But dude, it just seems like everybody's doing it.
No, people jump on top of the trend like nobody's business. I mean, that's one thing that I could say about myself is that I've never jumped on the trend. I've never tried SARMs. I've never tried any particular type of peptide. I always said to myself, same thing you did. All of these anabolics have been tried, true, and tested. There's been decades of data that we could look at. We know exactly what the side effects are, what the dosages are, what will it do, what will it not do. But the majority of people just kind of jump on the bandwagon. I think that's just humans' instinct, to be honest with you.
Well, now, the sad thing is, and if you scroll through TikTok or Instagram and you get into these reels, dude, like there's all these, all these bro science guys, and some of them have a degree and a background, and dude, everybody has a link to sell a peptide. Everybody,
yeah, that's right.
And they talk as if there's no side effects whatsoever to any of them. And for anybody to think that there's no side effects is just asinine.
There's always side effects.
Of course there are.
There's side effects if you take vitamin C. There's always fucking side effects.
Dude, you eat too much dairy, the side effect is you're going to go to the bathroom, dude.
Right,
you're going to have some sort of lactose, digestion issue, so, but for people to not see that there's potential risk,
right?
Especially when nobody really knows the dosage.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And it can't be one dose. It's not one size fits all,
Right.
and
Yes.
that's what people are doing, and there are some peptides that do show promise, but I'll give you an example, like the TB 500, right? That was approved topically, okay? Topically for a cream, for anti-wrinkles, for skin, for elasticity, for, stuff like that, rejuvenation of the skin, to help heal wounds. And there was clinical studies and data that suggest that it's good topically. Injectable, it's one of those things, and there's science behind both sides that show, if you do a little bit of it, it could help prevent cancer. But if you do a little too much, it promotes cancer.
Oof, yeah, but
So
like you said, how much is too much? We don't know.
well, nobody knows, and there's not really enough. The problem is there's not enough data to go either way, and the reason there's not enough data because the FDA didn't see this going long term, so they didn't want to invest any more money in these clinical trials. To run these clinical trials, it's not cheap. They're running these studies. They have subjects. God knows how many people they got to take it through to pass. So it costs, especially if they want to make it a drug, it's millions and millions of dollars they have to put up. So they're already seeing that, hey, there's too much negativity here. It's not going to go into stage 3. We're going to cut it here, and the study just sits. It lies dormant, so it hasn't advanced. And I'll give you another example, like Dianabol, methylgestanolone, right?
Right.
Methylgestanolone was originally invented for people who suffered from heart attacks that had damage of the heart. So that's why Dianabol comes in 5 milligrams. So at a 5 milligram dose, it can actually help repair heart tissue and make it healthy again.
Really?
However, who does 5 milligrams? The bodybuilders,
not me.
they're taking 50 to 100 milligrams, and now it causes heart damage.
Right.
So that's the same thing with the TB. Too little of it could do this, but too much of it could do this.
Yeah.
So, and nobody knows because there's no data to suggest, and it's got to be, dependent upon your body weight, your structure, your metabolism. That's why we have these guys who administer, before you go into surgery, not your epidural, your anesthesia. It's calculated. It's so fine tuned because too little, you could wake up during the surgery. Too much could kill you. So everything has to be designed for the perfect for the person specifically, and nobody has data on that.
Now, before I get into my next question, Luke wants to know, I'm assuming he meant by the first time you tried it, how long before the effects start to take place?
So I noticed good effects from BPC within the first week. Like you just start, hey, you know what? Some inflammation's gone. This is gone. Like I can move it a little better.
Yeah.
But I don't get that anymore.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't get that feeling from it anymore.
When a drug is, how can I say this? When Big Pharma wants to put a drug on the market, how long does it normally take the FDA to approve it if everything goes according to plan? Normally,
well, they have to go through. Well, yeah.
I'm sure they could speed it up. I get it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, they had, Trump had Operation Warp Speed for the COVID vaccine.
Right. Yes.
But people have to understand with something like that, they were already using messenger RNA. That's been used they had 2 decades or at least a decade of research on messenger RNA. It was just attaching that viral compound to get your body to react to stimulate the protein so your body triggers an immune response, right?
Okay.
So for drug studies, something like this, like Ozempic, I don't like Ozempic, okay, but it's gone through all the clinicals. It passed. It took years.
That was my next question, actually.
Yeah, years and years to do this. And even so, dude, even after clinical trials and something's approved, you still don't know long term.
Right.
And it's dependent. You have to realize because the data they have is based upon test subjects, right? Test subjects, this person does this person does this, and this person does that, right? They all have different lifestyles, but one of them might be on a different medication. One of them might eat different foods. One of them has a completely different lifestyle. They all have different endosystems.
Mhm.
So long term, you could have bad effects on one person and not on 85 others. You could have bad effects on 10 people and no others. So it's the more the drug is out there and utilized, the more data comes out. That's why if you look at the side effects of any type of medicine you buy, there's a list, and dude, if you read the list, it would scare the shit out of you. Even for aspirin, it's like a
Right.
mile long, because they have to put anything you felt during that testing phase. If you had a headache one day, if you woke up and felt a little tired one day, hey, it could cause tiredness. It could cause, make you feel lethargic.
Okay.
It could make you yawn. Like it could make you sneeze. Anybody that had any type of reaction during those clinical trials, that has to be noted and added to a possible side effect.
Yeah, Jordan, that's what we're trying to figure out. When it comes to peptides, I don't think we know what's fake or not.
You don't know, dude, and then you have to send it to a testing facility to find out. And the thing is, each peptide, it's an amino acid chain. Some of them, I believe, TB500 is 44 or 42 amino acids. I don't remember off the top of my head, but they have to be in a certain order. They have to be bonded a certain way, and the amino structure. So you could show in a testing facility, oh yeah, it has these amino acids in it, but are they at the right ratios? Like, you really don't know.
Is this something similar that happened to SARMs?
No, SARMs is different. SARMs was
No, I'm talking about the FDA approval and so on and so forth.
What do you mean?
I had, oh God, what's his name? What was the guy that we had on? What was his name? Paul?
Yeah.
I forget his last name. He was also really, really good with the drugs like you are. And I didn't get deep into it with him, but he had said that when SARMs went through some testing, they noticed that they had some bad side effects, and that's why they never got fully approved.
And it didn't make it out of stage 2 clinical trials, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I know when SARMs first were developed, the intention was they were going to be for women.
Okay. But here's the thing. Now, this is where I don't understand, and I guess people, okay? People will still rather use, now I'm talking about regular gym people, not bodybuilding psychos like we know. They would rather still jump on SARMs than actually use testosterone, than actually use DECA, and actually use, because they believe that it's safer, because it doesn't have this, a bad black cloud over it like anabolics is for years. But as far as I'm concerned, and correct me if I'm wrong, the reason why I never use SARMs, I never use peptides, is like I said before, there's been so much research done on anabolics, and it's tried, true, and tested, and we know exactly.
They're proven. Yeah,
right.
Proven.
It is proven. And I never jumped on SARMs, and I never jumped on peptides. Now, I never jumped on peptides for two reasons. One, I never really had a severe pain that I couldn't take care of through other means, like a doctor or other medications or surgery, so on and so forth. And a lot of times, if I do have an ache or something like that, and I just lay off the muscle or so on, it heals itself. So I never really had to jump on it, right? With SARMs, I always felt like SARMs, people believed it was the safe choice, and they were always afraid to use anabolics. But from what they really don't know is that anabolics is proven, and SARMs is something that's still a question mark, but people would rather use that, right? What do you tell people like that? Because I could say it till I'm blue in the face.
Well, I was always under the impression that people took SARMs because they didn't want to inject, and they were more readily available. You could go to one of your stores and pick them up, and there's still a gray area, product.
Right.
So I mean, you could buy them online. There's a million places you can get them. Where anabolics, might be a little. You can probably get them anywhere also. Like I'm
Yeah.
sure you could buy them online too. But I think a lot of people were afraid to inject, and they thought SARMs for some reason. Well, dude, when SARMs first launched, people were selling them like peptides as if they had no
Yes.
side effects.
Yes. I remember that. It was just like maybe 10
No,
15 years ago.
yeah, it doesn't aromatize. You don't have to worry about estrogen. There's no, and then 2 years later, people are getting bitch tits, from taking SARMs, and they gotta get surgery, and they don't realize who's telling you there's no side effects. Like, what do you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I have a fear, that this possibly could be the next SARMs epidemic with what's going on with the peptides.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. To me, like it just, I understand that. I understand that. In my personal opinion, I think people jump on SARMs, especially SARMs, not so much peptides, because they're afraid to use anabolics because of all the terrible,
It's a bad stigma.
it's a bad stigma that's been on anabolics for, and if you notice, not the last few years, because now TRT clinics are popping up. But growing up, they always had a bad stigma, right?
Well, yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah. But people still kind of just jump on the newest thing, the hot thing, the thing they think is a safer choice, so on and so forth. I don't understand that. I never could understand it. I mean, I don't dive into the chemistry like you do, but to me, it's just common sense. If something comes out 2 years ago and everybody's jumping on it,
Right.
like a semaglutide or like a retatrutide, we really don't know yet what could really happen, and people are jumping on this like nobody's business, man.
Right.
And I really think that in time, I think we're going to be our own guinea pig, and we're going to see, like you said, there's probably going to be a surge of something, and then we're going to figure out.
There certainly is.
Yeah, let's there's people are writing in some questions. Let's see. Simon wants to know about synthol. Which synthol is the safest, used and most dangerous?
Oh, right. Yeah. So yeah, it's really hard to differentiate between the safest synthol and the most dangerous, because they're both pretty fucking dangerous. There is no safe synthol. You're injecting an oil which has ligament gum or some sort of bonding agent to it, which bonds itself to the muscle cells, which gives you that, extended, bloated look, to your rounder muscles, makes them fuller looking. And you don't know what you're getting. Sometimes they'll use a fatty acid, but all this stuff goes through your bloodstream.
Mm-hmm.
So this stuff all gets pumped through your heart. Like,
yeah.
The safest synthol is the one not to use. That's the safest synthol. So I would not recommend taking any type of synthol.
No, definitely not. Especially if you're not competing or anything like that. Even if you are competing.
Even if you're competing, like why? It's like giving yourself. And I tried it when it was the trend, and I would do it for.
I tried it too. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, but then I realized, dude, what the fuck are we injecting in our bodies, dude? Like, and just like Simon just said, like, Simon said, but just like he's asking, people are just so quick to inject this shit in their bodies because that's what they're hearing about,
Mm-hmm.
But people, you have this body, the best way to build muscle, dude, train, eat good. If you're going to take gear, take it as safe and as responsible as you can.
Right.
But lay off the fucking gimmicks and the circus.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
The circus type.
And the hot trends that come out. Jordan wants to know, what are your thoughts on that supplement DIM, something to get rid of gyno while being a teen? I never even heard of that. Did you hear of this?
Yeah, so DIM is it's an herbal, it's natural.
Okay.
So they use it as an anti-estrogen in certain products like natural test boosters and stuff like that to suppress estrogen. I don't like DIM because in certain high dosages and when you're on it for an extended period of time, it can lower your estrogen, but it could also suppress your free testosterone also.
Yeah.
So you're better off looking. I use Naringen in mine in my natural test booster. Look into Naringen. It was used in clinical studies, clinical trials to treat breast cancer in women. But they ended up keeping Novadex, and I guess Big Pharma went that way. But they did have, if you look at the studies of it with breast cancer, they did have success with Naringen.
Okay. Now, Dane says that BPC 157 has been around for the last 30 years. So why would it not have gone through rigorous studies? What's the barrier to entry?
So the barrier to entry?
Meaning, how come? Why isn't it become approved? Why hasn't it become approved? I'm
Well,
assuming
that's what we were saying before. I didn't know it was around 30 years. I figured it's been used for the past 10 or 15.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's 30. It could be not. I'm not sure, but that's not the argument. The argument, it has been going through studies. It never made it out of stage 2.
Yeah. So whether it's been around for 30 years or 2 years.
Right. Let's just assume he's right. It's been 30 years. If you don't make it out of stage 2 clinical trials, they're seeing things they don't like.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But to my knowledge, also, the FDA just took this about 2.5 years ago. I mean, BPC is something your body creates. It's been around forever, but in terms of using for wound healing, for immune system, for recovery, for repair, I'm not sure. And just so you know, the oral form of BPC or most peptides is garbage. Nothing is going to, the barrier to entry, if you're talking about oral form, it's not passing your gastric fluids, your hydrochloric acid. So your stomach acids are going to completely annihilate this stuff. So the only way to use it would be in injectable form, and that's where it has not left clinical 2 trials.
All right, so here it is. BPC 157 was first introduced in 1993. It is a peptide derived from human gastric juice that has been studied for the potential for effects of healing, inflammation, and protection of various tissue. Described, 15 amino acid. Yeah, if it's been around that long, then I would stay away. Honestly, I really would. If it's been around that long.
If the FDA couldn't find a way to make money off of that, you know what I mean? Then they saw something that we don't know. We just don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Juiced Up says, my buddy Arntz sells MK677 product. Is that bullshit or GH Pharma? MK677 is a SARM, right?
It's a growth hormone, an IGF, a secretagogue of growth hormone. It's an oral form to raise your natural IGF levels, help your body release natural growth hormone. The thing with that also is you really don't know what you're getting. But I do know people that have used MK677 and liked it. Saw good benefits, saw an appetite increase. And that is one. But and my point of the oral form with your hydrochloric acid, stomach acids destroying it, that is so high dosed that the little bit that is saved from your gastric from your stomach acids, it's enough to really trigger an acceleration in your IGF levels. It does work. From what I've heard, I've never seen the clinical trials of it or human studies from it. Again, almost all peptides, are done with animal studies or in vitro, which means in a test tube. So there's no long-term medical studies. You're better off, if you go to a TRT clinic, you could get growth hormone prescribed to you if you have a deficiency in IGF.
Yes.
It's not cheap, but at least you know what you're getting.
Yeah, and it's under a doctor's guidance as well.
Yeah.
2 more questions, and then we'll call it quits for the night. Dane has a backup question. I see it didn't make through the clinical trials, but how does a group sell it for research purposes? That's actually a good question. If it doesn't, how do you sell it for research purposes only legally, I'm assuming?
Because nobody, John, you could say, hey, I want to buy these herbs and extracts, and I have this ailment. Okay. And I heard this, this, and this, and I heard if I take this, this, and this, it'll help my ailment. I'm not selling it. I'm not putting a new label on it and administering it to anybody else. It's for my research only. So I have a right to source these ingredients and try them on myself. That's why it says for research purposes only. It's not made to be sold. It's just made for you to do research on. And with that research, it means in vitro, animal studies, or most people take it and do their own studies on themselves.
Okay. And last question from Jordan. How high of a chance is to become a pro naturally, and how much years of training would you guys think it would take? Jordan is a 15-year-old boy who's really into bodybuilding. He's fallen in love with it. He follows our channel together, and he seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's in love with bodybuilding. So he is always asking great questions.
Well, Jordan, actually, if you're looking to become a natural pro, this is something where, the better your genetics, the better off you're going to be, and I think natural bodybuilding is making a comeback. They had 2 natural NPC shows up in the Northeast.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
They were fucking hits. Like there was great turnouts for both events.
Good.
So Jordan, I'm not sure where you're calling from or where you're writing in from or what area you're in, but look to stay in these natural shows and train and do your thing. You're 15 years old, dude. Your hormones are at an all-time high. Take advantage of that. Train hard and fucking eat good and see where your body takes you. It's hard to say how many years of training. Obviously, the more years you train, the more mature your muscles are going to be. The longer you have under the bar, the more muscle you could put on. So just keep fucking working at it, dude. You can set your own pace. It's as much as you put in. It's the type of sport is you'll get out whatever you put in.
Right.
The harder you work, the longer, the more consistent, the more rigorous you are with being disciplined, the better off you're going to be.
All right. That does it for an Anabolic Academy, but I have one announcement to make. Since I'm in the holiday spirit, if anybody wants a Serious and Silliness Bodybuilding T-shirt, I will be giving it back out for free. So if you are in the United States, just hit me up on my Instagram. That is Serious and Silliness BB on Instagram. Or email me, unclejohn1201@gmail. Let me know your address, your name, and I will send you one. You will not have to pay for shipping or anything like that as long as you are in the United States. Now, if you are outside of the United States and you want a shirt, then you will unfortunately have to pay for shipping because it gets expensive, which is very expensive to get fucking Lee's shirt.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's probably cost more for the shipping than the shirt.
It does. Yeah, absolutely. It does. It's insane. So, so just hit me up and I will send you a free shirt. I was doing that for a while and then I stopped, and I have all these shirts left over from actually your show. And I was like, as long as if I have the size and the person wants it, I'll just send it over.
Right.
And remember, www.i-prevailsubs.com, discount code SNS10. The link is in our description.
Yes,
get your great supplements from I Prevail Subs. Jay, always an honor, always a pleasure, man. Thank you very much, bro.
Yes,
all right,
sir.
we'll be in touch. I'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
Later, bro.
Bye.